भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की। गंगामय की। यमुनामय की। भक्ति देवी की। तुलसी महारानी की। समवेद भक्त वृंद की। गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि। All glories to assemble devotees. All glories to assemble devotees. All glories to assemble devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we're reading from 6th canto, chapter 19. I think somebody will have to give me the third part of 6th canto. This only has chapter 13. Maybe we can pull it up on the phone. So we're reading from chapter 19, text 26 to 28. And then we'll also read the introduction of canto 7, chapter 1. Because there is no purport for last 3 verses in canto 6. So we'll read, I'll chant the first 2 verses of 6th canto, chapter 19, text 26 and 27, performing the Savana ritualistic ceremony. And then we'll chant the last verse together, text 28. Kanya cha vindeta samagra lakshanam.
Kanya cha vinde.
So I will read the last one. I'll just chant these first 2. Kanya cha vindeta samagra lakshanam patim tva avirahata kibisham gatim Rita praja jiva sutta dhaneshwari sudurbhaga subhaga rupam agrayam vinded virupa viruja vimuchyate ya amyavindriya kalyadeham etat pathan abhyudya chakarmani ananta tripti pitrideva tanam. So we'll read this text 28 together. Tushta prayachanti samasta kaman
Shanti Samashtakama.
Omavashane hutabhukshi harischa
Om Ashvashvane Bhutapukshi Harischa.
Rajan mahan marutam janma punyam
Rajan Chitam Chatma Punyam.
Ditirvratam chabhitam mahate
Devatam Charitam Bhavate.
Tushta prayachanti samasta kaman
Stavrigajanti Samastakama.
Omavashane hutabhukshi harischa
Om Amashane Bhutapukshi Harischa.
Rajan mahan marutam janma punyam
Rajan Mahatmarutam Janpapunyam.
Ditirvratam chabhitam mahate
Devatam Charitam Bhavate.
Tushta prayachanti samasta kaman
Stavrigajanti Samastakama.
Omavashane hutabhukshi harischa
Om Amashane Bhutapukshi Harischa.
Rajan mahan marutam janma punyam
Mahatmarutam Janpapunyam.
Ditirvratam chabhitam mahate.
Devatam Charitam Bhavate. Tushta Prayachanti Samashtakama. Tushta Prayachanti
Samasta kaman
Homa Vashane Hutabhukshi Harischa.
Omavashane hutabhukshi harischa
Janmahan Marutam Janma Punya.
Rajan mahan marutam punya punyam
Itervatam chalitam mahate.
Tirvatam chalitam mahate.
Tusta prayachanti samasta kaman.
Tushta prayachanti samasta kaman.
Shane tabuk srihaischa.
Oma Vashrani Hutabuk Sri Harisha.
Rajan mahan maharisam janma punyam.
Rajan Mahan Marutam Janma Punyam.
Itervatam chavitam mahate.
Itervatam Chavitam Mahate.
Tustaprayajanti samasta kama
Nityapayasyanti samasta kama.
Pavasane hutabhut sriharischa
Oma Vashrane tabuk
Harisha.
Janmahan muratam jama punyam
Rajan mahan marutam janma punyam.
Ite vratam shabitatam mahate
Itervatam Chavitam Mahate. Tushta,
Tushta
being pleased. Prayachanti, they bestow. Samasta, all. Kaman, desires. Homa Vashane, on the completion of the ceremony.
on the completion of the ceremony.
Hutabhuk, the enjoyer of the sacrifice. Sri Hari, Lord Vishnu. Cha, also. Rajan, O King. Mahat, great. Marutam, of the Maruts. Janma, birth. Punyam, pious. Dite, of Diti. Vratam, the vow. Cha, also. Abhihitam, explained. Mahat, great. Te, to you. Translation. If an unmarried girl observes this vrata, she will be able to get a very good husband. If a woman who is a vira, who has no husband or son, executes this ritualistic ceremony, she can be promoted to the spiritual world. A woman whose children have died after birth can get a child with a long duration of life and also become very fortunate in possessing wealth. If a woman is unfortunate, she will become fortunate. If ugly, she will become beautiful. By observing this vrata, a diseased man can gain relief from his disease and have an able body with which to work. If one recites this narration while offering oblations to the Pitas and demigods, especially during the Shraddh ceremony, the demigods and inhabitants of Pitraloka will be extremely pleased with him and bestow upon him the fulfillment of all desires. After one performs this ritualistic ceremony, Lord Vishnu and his wife, Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, are very pleased with him. O King Parikshit, now I have completely described how Diti performed this ceremony and had good children, the Maruts, and a happy life. I have tried to explain this to you as elaborately as possible. Purport presents the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 6th canto, 19th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Performing the Pumsavana Ritualistic Ceremony. So there ends the 6th canto. So we'll read the introduction to chapter 1 of canto 7, the Science of God. The Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. So we have some purport. Actually, this introduction summary is for some of these chapters given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I'm not sure for this particular chapter. In this chapter, chapter 1 of Canto 7, in response to a question by Maharaj Parikshit, Sukdev Goswami gives his conclusions concerning how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although the Supersoul, friend and protector of everyone, killed the Daityas, the demons, for the sake of Indra, the king of heaven. In his statement, he totally refutes the arguments of people in general who accuse the Supreme Lord of partiality. Sukdev Goswami proves that because the body of the conditioned soul is infected by the three qualities of nature, dualities arise, such as enmity and friendship, attachment and detachment. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, There are no such dualities. Even eternal time cannot control the activities of the Lord. Eternal time is created by the Lord and it acts under his control. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, is always transcendental to the influence of the modes of nature, Maya, the Lord's external energy, which acts in creation and annihilation. Thus, all the demons killed by the Supreme Lord attains salvation immediately. The second question raised by Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, concerns how Shishupal, although inimical towards Krishna from his very childhood and always blaspheming Krishna, attained salvation in oneness when Krishna killed him. Sukdev Goswami explains that because of their offenses at the feet of devotees, two attendants of the Lord in Vaikuntha, named Jai and Vijay, became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha in Satya Yuga, Ravana and Kumbhakarna in the next Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Shishupal and Dantavakra at the end of Dwapar Yuga. Because of their fruitive acts, Jai and Vijay agreed to become the Lord's enemies. When killed in that mentality, they attained salvation in oneness. Thus, even if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in envy, he attains salvation. What then is to be said of devotees who always engage in the Lord's service with love and faith? Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in the sixth canto, the last chapter is describing the beautiful, amazing qualities of executing devotional service. As you guys would have heard previously, how Diti, the wife of Kashyapa Muni, got herself into a complicated situation. See, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us a full panorama of the material existence, upper planets, lower planets, and it helps us understands the consciousness and the mindset of higher beings. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that padam padam yat vipadam notesham, that in material existence there's difficulties and problems at every step. So no matter which stage of planetary existence you are situated on, those problems will always be there. So we are hearing in sixth canto, we have heard how in the higher planets there is rivalry, there is enmity, there's enviousness, there's fear. And so how did Diti, the wife of Kashyapa Muni, initiated her devotional activities was because of revenge, was because of getting back on Indra, the king of heaven. Why? Because it was because of Indra that his two sons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, were killed by Lord Vishnu. So she was in a very revenge consciousness. She wanted to get back on Indra. And she decided, yes, my husband is very powerful, so I'm going to get my husband to give me a benediction, give me sons who can kill Indra. So it shows that it's not that in a higher planetary system, its life is all peaceful, all calm and quiet. Everyone is living in harmony. No, that same material consciousness is still there, wanting to get back, revenge, fear, all these material emotions. And of course, Kashyapa Muni being a devotee, being a Vaishnava, he very therapeutically directed his wife in such a way that she can come to a stage of performing devotional service. That's the the contribution of the acharyas, that they somehow engage the living entities in performing devotional service. Somehow or other, if they can engage in devotional service, then devotional service is like a fire. No matter what you put in the fire will just consume it. So no matter what kind of motivations we begin our spiritual journey, no matter what our intentions might be, what our ulterior motives might be, devotional service is all glorious, and it takes away all our negative, our bad intentions, our consciousness, and just transforms it into sublime spiritual uh, substance. As Srimad Bhagavatam says, Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udharadi. Whether you are full of material desires or you have desire for liberation, or you have no desires, even if you are situated on the highest Paramahamsa platform, you should still engage in devotional service. So devotional service is like a touchstone. It's like a purifying uh, engagement that no matter where you are at, what's your background, where you come from, as soon as you engage in devotional service, you will see the results. It's like a medicine, whether you know what's in the medicine, what kind of chemicals are put together to curate and cure the body. Whether you know it or not, the medicine works when taken according to the direction of the doctor. Similarly, devotional service, when performed under the instructions, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, it works. And we see that results, we see that transformation, and we have seen that in the past, we see it in the present, and we will by that we can convey that the results will also be there in the future. I mean, if we just look at our own lives, before coming to Krishna consciousness, would we imagine getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning and glorifying the Lord, chanting, meditating for 2 hours? It's far out. Before practicing Krishna consciousness, the only time you would be up at 4 a.m. if you have a late night party. So you're going to bed at 4. Or if you're in college, you're playing video games and okay, it's 4 o'clock. I have a class at 11 a.m. I better get some rest. It's if you just think about our activities before coming to Krishna consciousness and the engagements that we are performing now, it's really far out. Feels like feels like a dream. Is this for real? Spending all day in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this day and age of Kali Yuga. It's unfathomable if we just think about the activities that we are performing. It's unbelievable. Actually, just the other day I was thinking how far out it is that uh, you know all of us from different backgrounds who've never heard of Krishna before are surrendering their life, are giving their youthful energies for serving the. I was just thinking about it, and I was just getting really, it was trippy to think about it, and how that's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, as we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The flood of love of Godhead has already been inundated in the whole universe, although we can't see it, but it's already there. Once we mature and have that vision, we can see that flood all over the world, the flood of love of Godhead. And so similarly, when I came from, the city of jungles, the concrete jungle from Los Angeles, just coming here and seeing how all the devotees are so sincerely serving 24 hours a day, doing devotional activities, for the pleasure of Sri Radha Damodar. It was just really unbelievable. I had to really uh, pinch myself that this is the reality, and the mercy of the Panchatattva is there for everyone to receive it and to transform their lives. Because see, the age that we are living in is just so contaminated by selfish, self-centered, egocentric interest, that when we just hear about engagements which don't really serve us as an individual, we start to think, why should I do this if it doesn't give me anything? What's the whole point of selfless service? It sounds good, and if you do volunteer or do some non-profit work, oh yeah, I can put that in my resume, and then it will help me somewhere. So it's still not fully selfless. But coming to devotional service, we have this really high standard that we aspire for. That yes, we want to come to a stage of just serving the Lord without any intentions, without any motivations, just because I want to serve the Lord. Not that I will get this thing or that thing. And that's the beauty of devotional service, that even when we serve selflessly, Krishna being so kind and merciful, he forces happiness, he forces ecstasies to us. We read that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the gopis, when they see Krishna, they are so enamored, and they are in so, you can say, feeling ecstatic emotions uh, just by seeing Krishna, but then they they chastise their ecstasies, they chastise their emotions and their numbness that they are feeling, because they can't really function properly in those ecstasies. And so they are criticizing those ecstasies. We don't want these ecstasies because it's hampering our active service to Krishna. Uh, we don't want any happiness for ourselves. We just want to serve Krishna. But in exchange for that, Krishna forces happiness to them, even though they don't want it. And this goes on increasing. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, they don't want any happiness for themselves. They just want to serve, and Krishna gives them more happiness. And the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they are like, no, we don't want any happiness. We'll serve you more. And this way, the transcendental exchanges keeps on increasing and keeps going more and more deeper. Of course, it might be difficult for us to fathom how can eternal blissful happiness keep increasing. There's already 100% concentrated happiness existing on the spiritual plane, but then it keeps increasing. It goes more and more deeper and higher in happiness. And that's the reason Krishna, when he sees that, wait a minute, I am the supreme enjoyer, I am the supreme uh, receiver of pleasure. How is it that my devotees are more happy? What do they feel? What are they experiencing by seeing me, by serving me? For for a minute, Krishna gets dumbfounded. Krishna gets all mental about it. We read that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives us insights on what Krishna is thinking. And so Krishna decides, there's only one way I can understand what my devotees are going through, and the bliss and the happiness that they are feeling. The only one way I can do that is by becoming a devotee, by coming down as a devotee. And that's how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to taste the love of Godhead, to taste what the devotees are tasting. It is actually described that of all the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they all uh, aspire to become devotees. They all aspire to become, they don't like to be in the incarnation of the Supreme Godhead. They all aspire to become devotees and serve the Lord. Because in the state, what the devotees feel for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one else can feel. No one else can experience those mellows, those feelings, those emotions, spiritual emotions. And so even the incarnations of Godhead aspire to become devotees. And so we are here hearing in in the translation to in sixth canto how by performing all these different ceremonies which might seem a bit ritualistic, as you would have heard in the previous verses of chapter 18 or chapter 19, this vrata that deity was performing. And the result of performing that vrata, you know, as we hear, that a diseased person can gain relief, pers- person who has no children can have children, a person who is unfortunate can become fortunate. And so it made me think how devotional service is like it's like it transforms iron into gold. Prabhupada had this formula because he was, before he took sannyas, he had a pharmacy, so he was, you know, prescribing medicines, and he knew all these science and intricacies of different chemicals and how you can cure the body through different mixtures of medicines. So Prabhupada said, if you mix iron and mercury, you can make gold. I think some devotees gave it a shot, but didn't have any success. But the point here is that just like when iron is put under fire, it comes uh, it comes to a state where it can be molded, it can be shaped into any form. And so similarly, devotional service is that fire that when we when we engage in devotional service, it transforms us, it shapes us into a better person, and it brings all auspiciousness in our life, not just for the future, but also for the present moment. That's why we hear that engaging in Krishna consciousness is best for the present and is best for the future. It's securing our future by having a transcendental life ahead of us. And at the same time, it's giving us the best present because we are engaging all our energies, our inclinations in in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we do that, then everything becomes worthwhile, everything becomes fruitful, everything becomes of significance. If we perform our activities perfectly, if we perform our material endeavors spotless, without any uh, without any contaminations, everything is A grade. But if Krishna is not there, then Shrama eva hi kevalam, as Bhagavatam describes, that no matter what you perform, it will just be futile, it will be worthless, because when you leave the body, everything that you did, you just leave everything behind. Whereas when Krishna is there, anything you add Krishna on, Krishna's nature of permanence and eternality infects our activities and infects our consciousness. And as Prabhupada would often say, that Krishna is like the number one, and all our other activities are like zero. So you can do all these different engagements, different endeavors for material success, for material happiness, travel around the world, try out different partners, this one or that one, go to different uh, cafes and streets and this and that, the other. They're all zeros, nothing, no substance. But when you add Krishna in the front, then all our activities becomes worthy. And that's what we are also hearing in the seventh canto introduction, the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Krishna is impartial. Krishna is equal to everyone. I think I'm forgetting the verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, I'm equal to all. Uh, and so, as Parikshit Maharaj is asking that question to Sukdev Goswami to clear up this doubts, because seemingly it seems like Lord Vishnu took the side of the suras, of the demigods, to to bring the demigods back into the power. So it seems like the Supreme Personality of Godhead is partial. But no, when we why what of course Parikshit Maharaj is asking that question for the sake of the living entity, so he can uh, disrupt any doubts that there might have been in the assembly of other sages, of other individuals who were assembled. But of course, we read and we understand that why one has that mindset, why one questions like that, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is partial. It's because of the lens through which we are looking at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because as conditioned souls, we are influenced by the modes of nature. And because of those modes, we have this idea of duality. There's happiness, there's stress, there's heat and cold, there's friends, there's enemies. So over here we read the influence of the modes of nature. The conditioned soul is infected by these three qualities of nature, and dualities arise, such as enmity, friendship, attachment, and detachment. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is above these material modes. He actually created those material modes. Material energy is one of Krishna's energy. So how can Krishna come under his own energy? Because Krishna is superior. Krishna is the energetic source, and material energy is just one of the energies of Krishna. But it is because the living entities are under the grip of the modes of nature. So we have this idea that yes, people are suffering in this world, but where is God? What is God doing for the people? How can God have make have the existence of wars and all the different problems in the world and not do anything about it? So it's because of the contaminated consciousness of the living entities, because of which we uh, infect our mindset and we project our material mindset on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, for devotees, it's very easy to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. And the nature of the devotees is that no matter what the circumstances might be, no matter what the situation that they might be surrounded with, they are always wanting to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in whatever circumstances. And so you will read in this canto the pastime of Jai and Vijay and how they came down on the material plane to actually serve the Lord. This question was this whole pastime begins by Yudhishthir Maharaj inquiring Narada Muni uh, the same question that Parikshit Maharaj asked, that how is it that Shishupal, who was so inimical to Krishna and who was blaspheming Krishna since his very birth, that he was able to get salvation after Krishna killed him. Because when Krishna killed Shishupal in the Rajasuya sacrifice that was performed by Yudhishthir Maharaj, Yudhishthir could see that as soon as the Sudarshan Chakra hit Shishupal and decapitated him, the soul, that spiritual spark, came out of Shishupal's body and merged into Krishna's body. And so Yudhishthira Maharaj was uh, bewildered. How is it that Shishupal got salvation? And so that's how this whole Narsingha pastimes began. And so Narada Muni will will uh, will convey and describe this whole pastime. But the point I want us to focus on today is on how Jai Vijay, although they were stuck in a complicated circumstances of being cursed by the four Kumaras, and of course, when we read Laghu Bhagavatamrita and other advanced literatures, we understand that that whole pastime of Jai and Vijay being cursed was actually a pastime of the Lord, because Jai Vijay had a desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead by fighting with him, because uh, they wanted they they wanted to serve the Lord by the act of shivil, by the act of just engaging in fighting. But that can't happen in Vaikuntha, that can't happen in the spiritual world. And so, in order to fulfill the desires of his devotees, uh, the Supreme Personality of Godhead arranged this pastime. And so, the point I wanted to focus on is once Jai and Vijay were cursed, they weren't uh, revengeful, or they weren't in a state of like, okay, how can we get back to the four Kumaras? No, they were thinking, okay, we are in this situation now, being cursed and have to go down to the material existence. How can we serve the Lord? What's the best way we can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And I think that's the consciousness that we want to uh, take up from those two uh, devotees, that no matter what our circumstances might be in material existence, if we can always have that desire in the forefront, how can I serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead? How can I serve my spiritual master? Uh, give them the best pleasure. How can they get the best uh, service? When we have that mindset, then we would always be on track, no matter what is happening in the material existence. Even if there's, fire all around us, uh, dava, samsara dava, nara nira loka, as we hear, the fire of material existence. If we have that resolute focus, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasatmika buddhi eke he kuru nandana, that one pointed resolute focus, that no matter what, I just want to engage in devotional service. No matter what, I just want to serve the Supreme Lord, want to serve my spiritual master in Parampara. When we have that focus and clarity, then no matter what the circumstances be in life, Krishna will always protect us, because that's the nature of devotional service. That's the nature of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says that I protect what you have and I give what you lack. And so this whole process of Krishna consciousness is so beautiful. Uh, there's basically there's no disadvantage, there's no drawback in performing devotional service. Even if one performs Krishna conscious activities, even if one performs devotional service for just once, like Prabhupada would say, even if somebody chants once Hare Krishna, their life has changed. Their karmic imprint have changed. Their life won't be the same. And so, what to speak of the devotees who are dedicating their life, sacrificing their own personal desires for the desires of someone higher than us? What to speak of them? why wouldn't Krishna protect us? Why wouldn't Krishna give us the ultimate treasure of love of Godhead? Of course, we just have to be patient and enthusiastic in our endeavors, in our execution of devotional service, and in due time, uh, our our birthright, our prerogative of receiving Krishna Prema, the love of Godhead, uh, we will get that. Okay, these were some of my thoughts. If anyone has any thoughts or questions, yes, Ruth.
Yeah, so many great points. Just on the last thing you were just saying about it's our almost like a birthright. I don't know, the developing pure love of God. I've heard before it's like a mango, even if the mango is like super green, like eventually ripen. Like
Yes.
it has to. Like even if it gets cool off the vine early or something, it'll go right.
Mhm.
So that's like us. And yeah, so many great points. You talked about touching fire, and how it doesn't matter what we throw on it because it'll all burn off if someone chants Hare Krishna once.
Yes.
Um, and I remember reading earlier we talked about how Hiranyakashipu and these demons they merge into the oneness. But then I was like, it's giant Bija, so it doesn't really like, make sense.
Well, if you want to understand the technicalities of it, you can read Lagu, I think it's Lagu or Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in which it describes that yes, externally the soul of Shishupal merged in the body of Krishna, but then later on the the Vishnu Dutas came to take them back to their to reinstate them in their place as the doorkeepers. So you read that more in Brihad. I think it's either Brihad or Lagu Bhagavatamrita. I'm missing that. Thank you for sharing. Anything else?
Yes, about two aspects of the Japanese planetary systems. When one will see that when I think and in a different one. I read somewhere said that there's envy and rivalry. Envy is sent for those persons who are newly promoted to planetary systems. The persons that are there already
Mhm.
are envious. Those people that are there before, there's only rivalry.
Mhm.
Saying, when should I ask me to go to the heavenly planets? There's someone who against the yesterday is having.
Mm.
And also in the translation of those last verses, there are a number of things you can do, you do this internal. So initially I said the intention was to not so the job and nice good intention, but eventually by doing all those all those processes, you find that eventually Gita will purify.
Mhm.
So important your intention.
Yeah.
So, so as I said, Srimad Bhagavatam is top notch. So
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
thanks for the
In fact, Prahlad Maharaj says in the seventh canto when his teachers tell him that you have been contaminated by the enemy. What does Prahlad Maharaj says? Well, he just says, I pay respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose energy, by whose external energy, living entities think this is my friend and this is my enemy. And so when we personally, when I kind of sometimes get into a state like, oh, this person is my enemy, or like, that animosity, or this person is my, all we can do is just meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that it's just the illusory energy that makes us think like that. But actually, all living entities are connected, are part and parcel of Krishna. Okay. Yes. Anything else?
It's almost time. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
Just thinking the Jews story, you quoted that verse from the Gita. Read first verse of the second chapter. The other side, in a couple of years. So cool seeing the Jews story out, everything going horribly wrong. But Prabhupada seems to be so fixed on doing service for the deities that he had already installed it worked out somehow. The person who's trying to shut it down died magically, and then the woman who kept ignoring his wife broke down and said, "I'm sorry, Swami, forgive me."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're right. If you really have that faith, how can Krishna not forgive?
Yeah. Actually, Krishna will fulfill the desires of his devotees no matter what. It's like Prabhupada would say, if you chant 16 rounds every day and follow the four regulative principles, you'll go back to Godhead. But then some devotees would say, but Prabhupada, this, like, there were some other rules and regulations you used to chant 64, and Prabhupada said, no, like, because I have said it, so Krishna will have to take you back to Godhead. Oh, okay. Nitai Chandra. Oh,
Very fast. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll stop here. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gita Govinda Gita Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Attachment to service needs to try to not those confidence. The open by dark class and through our chasing love. Use my Lord for after from him the sad feelings, thy hand begins to shut. The greatest difference in this area. Our future masters the mission bring when we're master moving. Oh, Matthew, this verse, this is very good. See. Your name is spent 103 months with each other. So you bring your stuff here, like, yeah, back there, right? Yeah. Yeah, you got where you staying, right there, road? Yeah, it's on this road. Yeah, it's such small, right? Any powers up in the movie? Powers up. No, see there. Oh.